Hello everyone, welcome to round 6 of the Moja Chess Extravaganza. Pokemon Waterfall, Briz, Micah, Jolo, Genuine Chess Player, Derp, Fly, Duck Gang, Thermal of Solitude, Bruce. Welcome in everyone. We see Jessie is already. Did Jessie have a game this morning? I believe she didn't. That sounds perfect, Derp. She's currently on 4 out of 5. We can see that she moved the board. Also, this move hasn't been played. Yeah, single round today. I think there's a double round tomorrow. And then a final round the day after. And, well, we can see the players are ready to start. But Jessie has no opponent. And we saw her shake hands with the air. Our opponent is running late, it seems. Jessie herself told me she was running late, but she was right in time, so no worries. She did a Magnus. Jessie's leaving already. She's had enough. The quality of the camera is a little less good than yesterday. That's because Jessie has moved the board, so the camera is zoomed in a little bit. Do you always start the clock when your opponent is late, or do you try to give them a minute? Depends. If I see they're entering the playing hall or I know they're there, then I'll wait. And otherwise, I'll wait for a couple seconds and then just start. Yeah, true waterfall. But it's like, it's preference. At some point, the arbiter will come up and start your clock. Yeah, that's... I know where Hannah will be playing. But you guys won't. But we're here for Jessie today, Fly. So Jessie lost yesterday to a person we can see on our left in a very interesting game, I believe. I haven't seen all of it. Jessie left, that's true, that's true. Let me see if the other live ports work. Again, I don't have the chess.com live port, but I have the ugly one from Live Chess Cloud, and they seem to work. So we're just gonna wait for Jessie's opponent to show up. She will show up in a little bit. I'll take a look at the other games quickly. If I had a nickel for every time a streamer failed to claim a draw or repetition and went on to lose, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't much, but it's weird that it happened twice. Not too late for Jessie to enter Title Tuesday, true. Her opponent hurries up a bit, then... Well, it is too late, right? Or you can join midway, I guess. We'll just have to wait. Just like Jessie. Jessie has just have to wait for her opponent to show up, or for the forfeit time to... Wait a second, Screws is trying to help me. Or time to add another... Do we not have that? Oh. I'll write it down, Fly. Or Fly. Derp. Time for a quick bullet game. I'll take a picture there. I'm not gonna remember all of this. Can Jesse play 1f3 for the opponent? Imagine. Derp, maybe just DM me. I hit my camera. Yeah, yesterday Jesse lost against her opponent, the second seed, I think. In a very up and down game, she could have claimed a draw by repetition, but it was a little bit of a weird one where it wasn't in consecutive moves, but there were some moves in between. So it wasn't that easy to realize that it was threefold. And her opponent also just played well. Derp, if you just make a list, you can DM me. It's fine. Look at Jessie. She can't wait to trap her own light square bishop. I know. What are the predictions, guys? What do we feel? We don't know what our opponent will play, of course. Do we feel a French today? Because last time I did commentary, it was a Sicilian. So we'll see what Jessie has in store today. Maybe our opponent will play d4. Of course, though. We don't know if her opponent will play. Yeah, that would be unfortunate. Don't know what the forfeit time is. It's usually either half an hour or an hour. Is there an opponent? I don't see one. No. Wait. Where's the opponent? 30 minutes. That would be a sad stream if we just sat here for 30 minutes and then Jessie left. Because she won. That would have been a little bit sad. Let's just hope our opponent shows up. You will unfollow? Oh. I'll have the curse broken. I think Jessie won, right? Screws. Behave. You get paid either way? Surely I get paid. In kindness. And in you guys' funny messages. Can you fast forward the video to see if the opponent shows up? Yeah, let me... Still not there. Still not there. It was a rest morning. I hope our opponent didn't think it was a rest day. Let's hope not. If the opponent doesn't show up, we gotta do some drawing. Yeah, or... How about we play a bullet game? I wish you could see Julia's board. Wait, who's Julia? So, well, I can see what's happening on board 1. I don't know if we want to look at it, because it's exchange Slav, so that's really boring. So I guess we'll skip that one. Simul against chat, but now there's a lot of people in chat. The last Simul went well though. Hello, Mariah? Mariah. I'm gonna say Mariah. Oh, our opponent showed up. More boring than no move at all. Well, I think we'll see a move soon. Does Jesse's chat know of the nodules 99% accuracy in the simul? Well, I can tell it now. I played a simul against how many people? 6? 6 people. And my accuracies were 99, 99, 98. What was it again? 96, 96? Something like that. Oh, we see a move. It's... Oh, I can't really cannot see on the camera. Okay, d4. 97, yeah. So my lowest was 96. And then chat was a little mad. But also they had very little time, so we... was the first simul. And we'll do one another time. d4, no French today. I see knight f6. So we get one of the Indian defenses. You weren't mad. You got the highest accuracy of the challengers. Good job, Fly. Good job. Will we see a London? No. Bishop goes one square further. Trompowski. So Black has a lot of options here. You have the normal moves, knight e4 to not allow taking. d5 controlling the center. c5 challenging the center is a little more sharp. g6 is even a move. That does allow your pawns to get doubled, but is also a decent option. Yeah, we'll see what... I actually don't know if this... We see d5, which is a very solid approach. Wait, we got a raid? Oh, I need to check who raided me. Oh, Eileen, thank you for the raid. Welcome in. How was your stream? Welcome in, everyone. Oh, let me do a shout out, actually. I can do that on my phone, I feel. Or it's in Jesse's chat, I assume. Wait. Yes. Welcome in, Eileen. How was the stream? We're just watching Jesse's game. Our opponent was a little late, so we saw Trompowski and just seen this moves. Oh, thank you. Good to hear, Eileen. I'll give you a shout out. Wait. If my phone will work. Yeah, it will be great for sure. No clue. I typed this correctly. Don't know if it works, but okay. This was a Trompowski. b3 is played, and Jesse develops her bishop, bishop d6, and white has given up their bishop pair for the damaging of the structure. But the good news is I'm a WIM. Oh, don't leak that. Don't leak that. Yeah, I think so too, Eileen. But for Aileen, wait, maybe I can do the other shoutouts from my phone. Doesn't seem so. Oh, that's true. Yeah, but I'm on my phone. Everyone just go follow Eileen. By the way, are you proud of me? I didn't mention the threefold in any DMs. Good job, Screws. Also, thank you for the follow, Laptop Millionaire. Welcome in, Nightwolf. And c4 now. Challenging the center. And probably it's best to take here. If you play c6, for example, defending, then after taking, we have this isolated pawn, which we don't like. So I think taking is best. We can castle after. And white might get some control in the center, which I guess the compensation for giving up the bishop pair. I need to find a spot for my drink. I decided to upgrade my drink today. Yesterday I just had water. Today we have some iced tea. Like a game in the background has already finished. And someone isn't happy, I think. That will be a quick one. Jesse's spending some time here. You can also castle, but then when they take, you have to give this check. And the bishop is actually well placed here. So we want to keep the bishop here, so taking looks logical. Maybe you can try bishop e6 defending. But that would put the bishop in the center, where it can be chased away with knight c3. Yeah, probably there's also some games still starting. Often there are players who like to arrive a little later. It can be quite effective. Black doesn't have a clear plan despite having the bishop here. Not true, but we don't really have to have a plan right now. Yeah, thank you, Aileen. Aileen? Aileen, let's say Aileen. Have a nice sleep. Thank you for the raid. And I'll see you soon. Aileen. Okay, we'll do Aileen. C6 is played. Have a good night, Aileen. This does allow our opponent to possibly isolate our pawn. We can also prevent this. Now it's really good for white. It's a little better. Oh, maybe I should try without engine lines. Nah, this is fun. Try to isolate the pawn via castle on g2 and play on the queen side. One of the plans. He's not just a lean, he's the lean. It's a good one fly. Okay, let's see what our opponent will do. Can you take back with the queen? Yes, this is what the engine actually recommends. To take with the queen. But of course, after a3, we would have to give up the bishop pair. Which is not the biggest problem. But white does get a nice center in the long run. Simple castles. d4. Queen has to move. And you can see all the pieces. Ah, the queen check. Okay, that's also interesting. But I guess then knight c3. And after takes here, maybe we can actually insert. Because the knight just prevents d5, which is a little bit annoying. And then the question is if this queen is actually good here. Otherwise, it would be a great move. Your queen. Derp feels queen it takes c3. For everyone who doesn't know Derp loves to sacrifice. Okay, this is the live position. Her opponent is thinking here. Could also be that her opponent will just develop. And I think it will still be wise to take at some point. Another idea could be c5. When you can start with a pawn storm, but we see a normal development move. Knight c3. Where it would be good to take here. We can't really protect this pawn that much more. Maybe bishop e6, but then you basically change your bishop into a pawn, which is of course not what we want. A normal way to go is... How dare you stream during Title Tuesday? It's outrageous. I know. I'll ask Jessie next time to move her whole tournament to not let it be during Title Tuesday. Welcome in, Physic. Yeah, so if you put the bishop on e6, instead of taking, there's also c5, which is really annoying when the pawns will just roll. And it's not that tough for white to come up with a plan, while black struggles a little more. Also, I know Jessie's a French player, so maybe in the future she wants f5 to trap her own bishop again, like a real French player. We don't like the light square bishop as French players. Needs to be contained at all time. So yeah. But now Jessie is spending some time here. Actually don't know about Jessie's preparation for the games. She did have a morning off. But she's also playing some lower rate opponents, so I don't know how easy it is to prepare for those. Usually there's less games in the database for lower rated players. So it makes preparing a little tougher, but it should be she should make up for it in her chess skills. So yeah, normal would be to take. Or we get a structure for black similar to what our opponent had yesterday, I think. Caro-Kann structure, but now the pawn has moved from the c to the e file. And after this, if both sides just develop and play with f5, this position is around equal. White has the bishop pair and actually some control in the center, but you can see white has more control there. Do you prefer playing against lower rated opponents, higher rated opponents, or equal rated opponents? I always like playing higher rated opponents. I also feel like I play better against higher rated opponents. I don't like playing against lower rated opponents, really, or like much lower rated opponents, because it feels like you only have things to lose and not much to win. I'm playing against people from my rating, or a little bit lower, a little bit higher. I don't mind that either. Yeah, so I prefer like tournaments where, for example, I'm around 2100, where for the lowest rated player in my group would be around 2000, so 2000 and up. I prefer those tournaments, just so I don't have to play way lower rated opponents. Could be underrated people. And I don't mind playing better opponents. I think you always learn from those games, whether you play well or make mistakes. Just so he does that. Can you 1v1 me? I think Anamaya the same. Yeah, I think for a lot of high rated people that holds. Although I met one person, I don't remember. There were a couple people, we had this discussion at a tournament, and they were like, oh, oh, we see takes, that's good. Yeah. And they were like, I usually beat low rated people, so I don't mind playing against them. And that's also okay. Like, usually you beat them, but there can just be that one game where you don't, and then it costs your rating, you're not happy. On Perpetual Chess Podcast, I believe it was said best for ELO is players rated 150 ELO higher. Big game for the wins while still having chances. Yeah, I agree with that, I think. But that seems fair. You prefer unconscious opponents. Not sure if we should dive in that too much more. We see bishop takes c4 and castles. Just finishing development for both sides. Probably knight f3 next. Although knight can also go to e2, I guess. I agree, Derp. Stockfish is not yet conscious. The fact that it says not yet is worrying. But as far as this opening is concerned, I think so far Jessie has a position where she can have enough play to fight for the win, which of course she wants to do against a lower rate opponent. And that's also tough in this chessable generation. A lot of people know a lot of openings, or at least some openings, and people just blunder less than back in the days. Back in the days when someone was rated 1800, they would almost every game just blunder like material. And nowadays, against an 1800, you really have to be careful to just play precise, get your chances, don't run in too much prep, that type of stuff. Exactly, Fly. We see knight f3. That is knight f3, right? It almost looks like knight g3. How was your birthday, Pizza Racer? Was it your birthday, Pizza Racer? Then I will say happy birthday. And if it wasn't your birthday, screws, why are we asking? Okay, now Jessie has to figure out what she wants to do. f5 is an idea to stop any e4. Oh, happy birthday, Pizza Racer. Or belated. Happy birthday. Good to hear, it was nice. Well, now you can watch... Ooh, we see bishop g4, going for a pin. Which is logical. Although the engine doesn't love it. And now, the day after your birthday, you can watch me talk about Jessie's chess. Same birthday as John, true. John had his birthday yesterday as well. And then Georgiana's chat completely destroyed me in drawing. That was nice. But we don't talk about that incident. Jessie. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Jessie going for the pin. Logical move will be h3 to sort of ask the question, where is your bishop gonna go? Are you really gonna go back in here? Going for pawn cube, maybe? Sometimes I hate when my opponent takes so much time in the opening. I don't mind. Let them burn their time now. Then we can bully them in time trouble. Do you hate playing against me? I thought you were playing 1g3. No way you have to think in the opening then, right? This opponent can also just castle, I think. And then maybe then we can play f5. As our bishop is already outside of the pawn chain then. Give you more time to wake up. My biggest enemy are rounds at 10 a.m. Well, in my last weekend tournament, there were 3 rounds at 10 a.m. Okay, there, I see how it is. Let me get some candy. I have some candy here to keep me happy. I think we call them wine gums. Wait, I don't have my OBS up. They're pretty good. They're basically part licorice, part fruit gummy. I didn't steal Alex's candy. Alex left all her food here. Just because she said I could have it. But these ones I bought myself. Playing chess before lunch is cruel and excessive. We see h3, best move, and bishop h5. Now, here the engine says that white should go g4 and knight h4, grabbing back the bishop. I'm not sure we will see that. Seems very early to commit to such an idea. Never mind. I'm not going to talk anything. G4. Bishop g3, g6. I wonder how our opponent will continue. Knight h4 will basically make sure we're ready to capture on g6, but it also has the idea of maybe f4 or f5. Is England Gambit a good opening to play as black in classical if you've studied many variations and are comfortable with the setup? Depends on your level. Yeah, maybe then it's not the best commentary, right, Rookie? I didn't expect g4, especially not this fast. But on the England Gambit, I think if you can study all the lines, there are other openings out there that may be better and are as much theory. But if you really like it, you can always do it. At some point, you run into a level where people have looked at it before and then know what to do. And then you will get some worse positions out of the opening. So I wouldn't play it. And I think most strong players wouldn't play it. But if you like it, there are levels where you can just play it and get good chances to win. Okay, what opponent is thinking after g4. It would make more sense to think first before playing g4 and then commit to it. Till what level? Yeah, I always find that a hard question. Especially because generations are changing. I think there's like 2,000, 2,100 players who don't know the England Gambit, but then there's kids who sit on TikTok and stuff who have seen it before. Then, oh no, a clip. Then it's hard. I would say till like 1800 should be fine. I'll see there. Knight h4 played, best move. And Jesse has to be a little bit careful here that white doesn't just go for a huge attack and rolls over the king side. That is good timing. White is playing very well so far. What is g4 knight h4 idea? It will be interesting to see what Jesse does, because you can't really easily escape. I was thinking something like rook e8, but the downside is that you unprotect f7, so rook e8 probably runs into takes, and I thought queen b3 maybe, but then queen e7. But there's also queen c2, hitting this, and where we make use of this pin. So yeah, this is really tricky actually, because you can't really defend it. If you go g5, for example, h4, and we can already see stuff happening. So yeah, the question is, what should we do here? The rook e8 probably isn't it. Yeah, it's a little scary rookie. Probably one of the ideas could be to play b5, go aggressive on this side of the board, and then bishop build back here. Maybe now we can work towards some b4 c5, develop the knight first maybe. It is really tricky. Exactly there. And although it's nice, it looks nice, the pawn cube, it's not something we desire as a chess player. But the opening hasn't gone Jesse's way so far. She needs to be a little careful. Also, someone hit the camera. This happened yesterday as well, but then the cam didn't really move. The lack of performance yesterday. It's okay, rookie. I do have a question for you, rookie. How often has 3 come up in drawing? And have you guessed it right that time? Is it possible to get your king to the center of a square of 8 pawns? What is this question? How do we make a square of 8 pawns? Yes, that should be... Wait. I think that should be possible, right? First have to think... You mean if you can think of a legal position where that happened? Okay. That's good to know. Also, the camera moved away from Jesse. This is not good. So the question is, can we get our king in the center of... I guess like this, right? That this will be the king. I think you can do that, right? You have to take a bunch towards center. Hello, John. So far, actually not great. Our opponent has played a very strong idea of h3, g4 and knight h4, aiming to create a pawn cube. Okay, rookie. I think this should be possible, right? Okay, this pawn can get there. She does play rook e8. Okay, let me... This is like one of Screw's math questions. It should be possible, right? You can capture towards there. And then you can walk the king in and bring this pawn to the rear. I think that's the plan. There should be a legal position where this happens, yeah. Rook e8 was played, and now it's very strong to create the pawn cube. Oh, wrong board. And target the pawn cube after with the queen and use this pin. You guys actually know this. Now do it for both sides. What the hell? Oh, what are you guys are saying? Because I really... Well, if it's 9 pawn captures, so it would take 9 pawn captures. And now do it for both sides. I assume it's not possible then, right? No spam. Guys, no spamming in the chat. Oh. Sometimes I hate my chat. Okay, but rook e8 is logical to target in the center. Probably we have to give up the pawn on g6. Because I don't see how we can hold on. Maybe like this. But this is also unprotected. He does take on g6. We should see a quick recapture. Some days fly. Normally I don't mind you guys. I even appreciate you guys being here. Yeah, I will also say that openings online. Can you put the king inside the square of pawns where the color of the pawns matches the squares? Ooh, these questions are hard. Also, now we're not gonna get to the commentary part, I guess. But okay, I'll try to figure out. So Screw's question is, can we create a pawn cube in such a way that the pawns match the color? So white pawns on white squares, I guess. Dark square pawns on black pawns on dark squares. Can we create a scenario where the king is in the center? Hello, Jenny. Think so. That should be possible. Well, it doesn't really matter, right? So let's say the black king. So then our pawns have to be here. That should be possible. Then white pawn here. That should be possible. Which means we will win, right? We have a pawn cube on the board. Yes. Yes, we do. Oh, maybe Derp has the answer. Yeah, okay, but now Derp, we want one where the pawns match the color of the square. Well, you guys can go figure it out, and then we'll have a contest of people showing me what it is. Back to the chess position. Jesse doesn't have the greatest position. I wonder what our plan is. After queen c2. Queen c2 seems very natural. Developing your queen. Putting pressure on, well, basically the pinned stuff. Do you think this Caro-Kann setup to the queen's pawn opening is prep? I assume this wasn't Jesse's prep. Oh, good, Pizza Razor. I'm not gonna read that message, Fly. I'm not gonna read that message. Also, no clue what you mean. Yeah, our opponent can also consider something like this, but this gives us time to move our queen to protect both. And maybe create some counterplay already with like a5, b5 or c5 maybe. But yeah, it's a little bit of an unpleasant position, to say the least. The main problem is that after queen c2, g5, h4, it's just really hard to defend the mate. Actually, you'll probably already get checkmated here. Maybe I should ask Joel to play draw as well. Can probably draw it then. Slide the king. That's maybe an idea. I haven't thought. Maybe king f8? But the problem is also the pawns are rolling. Tough position. I think best might be to just give up the g6 pawn, but how you do that in a convenient way. It's not that clear. I always read rookie's messages. What do you mean? Derp has confirmed you can match the pawns to the squares. Bishop f4, h6. Mm. Yeah, but it's also queenside castles and... Maybe... It's hard. Yeah, that's true, just then. How did she do last round? She lost to the second seed. I believe second seed. Jessie herself is the first seed. I think she had a pretty decent position. Yeah, it was yesterday, yeah. Last round. This morning there was no round. If you were there for that round, then you have seen it all. No, this morning they had a morning off. And then tomorrow there's a double round again. And then they finish the day after. Waterfall just knew. Sometimes people just know. Okay, now Jesse has to figure out some stuff. Basically, we are just a tempo short, because if we could put this knight on f8, this knight would protect g6 and would be a nice defender, but we just don't have time for that right now. Good to know, Derp. He does try king f8. I was looking at f5. But basically, if you capture back, it doesn't really help. As you can see, king is just open, pieces are active. Best move here, queen f6, exchanging queens but damaging the structure. And that doesn't look happy at all. But we see king f8. And now if our opponent takes it slow, for example, queenside castles, Jesse will probably get chances with like b5 and creating some counterplay. So our opponent has to play very energetic, h4, and just keep going with the attack. And king f8 is a good practical try, for sure. Have a nice dinner, though. Dinner at 6, he's a true Dutch person. Jesse has an IRL Rosen trophy and the eval doesn't care. Yeah, I do miss my perfectly healthy Dutch dinner time now. It's 6. But that's okay. We are here to watch, well, mainly Jesse's opponent, because on the cam right now it's fully in the center of it. But I guess we also see Jesse a little bit. You're considering an evening snack. Rookie, for you it's like afternoon, right? With your sleep schedule. That should just be afternoon. He went to get a snack. Okay, so white has to probably go h4, just continuing the attack. Black has very little play against the king. And this is one of the downsides of the pawn cube. Also true. The pawn cube looks nice, but doubled pawns control less squares together than like all the pawns next to each other. So we can see that white just has so much control in the center now. As well as an attack. White really should be happy with how the opening went. But I've watched some chess today already, and I've seen huge comebacks today. I saw one position where the evaluation went from +5 to -5 in one move. And that was a game between two 2000s. So it's not like the game is over. Will you coach white? Well, anyone who wants coaching from me is welcome. Is this where we use the command flag? Perfect. What is the clock situation? Great question, Screws. Her opponent is on 1 hour and 5 minutes. And Jesse's on 1 hour and almost 18 minutes. And we see queen b3. This is a little bit odd. The queen was on this diagonal, was already developed. And now after queen b3, which is an accuracy, we have time to defend. Perfect. So yeah. As you can see, we will see chances for Jesse for sure. In b3 is a bit weird. The question can be, why didn't we go to b3 in the first place? On the other hand, is the king really better on f8 than it was on g8? Don't think so. Locan Velo, welcome in. I'll take a sip of my iced tea for you. So yeah, here it makes sense to, well, defend the hanging pawns. I was thinking queen e7, but maybe we don't want to block the rook. Queen d7 could also be a move. And then something like this will happen. I don't really like queen d7 because the rook will line up with the queen. So maybe I would put the queen on e7. Because then here we can start pushing b5, a5. And you can see we'll get an attack going. And then the position will become pretty unclear. Which is what we're aiming for. We want to win. Queen e7 looks good. I agree. So Jesse's thinking for a bit. It's not like, maybe I was thinking you can offer queen trade. Where were we? But this is also hanging, so we have to defend here. And rook e7 just feels not right. Like, rook looks fine on e8. We can in the future connect the rooks. Also, queen d7 blocks a square for the knight. Not sure where the knight belongs anyway. Maybe you want to do something like this. This. But this also makes sense in the future. I guess it's hard to develop the knight in any case. Because this pressure is just huge. I'll have to see. But yeah, Jessie has to figure out how she wants to defend her pawns. Oh, queen e7. I liked it, Chet liked it, so Jessie also liked it. This just feels very natural. Defending both. Queen on the file. This diagonal is even more controlled. And we leave this d7 square possibly for the knight. So this should be good. Is this the live position? Because this looks no bueno. This is the live position indeed, Screws. Can we see that on the cam? Well, the cam is and turned the wrong way and zooms in and there's this number thing in front of the board. So, but yes, this is the live position. It's not bueno, but it could be worse. And if our opponent ever queens at castles, Jesse is ready to go attack. Other news, she already traded the light square bishop, so it's not, it can't be the bad bishop today. The budget for production wasn't a lot. No, it all ended up to me. There's one thing in the way. There's actually one thing in the way. Now, because the camera is turned away, now we can't see Jessie. We only see her bottle. We really need to be more careful with our camera. This is not what we want. You wonder what's in the bottle? Well, I have a nice bottle of iced tea here. I can use to pour myself some more drink. Iced tea mixed with. We don't talk about that then. We don't talk about that. Opponent spending quite some time already. I guess it's the kind of position where you can spend some time because there should be a feeling this is a good position. So spending time is fine. On the other hand, don't spend too much. You probably need it later. We see queenside castle. Chess.com calls this another inaccuracy because now we can go start attacking. Probably most logical to start with b5, as you don't have to think about a4 stuff. For example, a5, a4. Probably good for black, but You're writing to Twitch support right now. As promised, hair count to the left. No, I think I said. Oh, wait, did I say next stream? Yeah, I didn't know I was doing commentary until, well, yesterday. So, I guess next normal stream maybe then, Canvella. But you can write to Twitch support. They're my homies. No worries. I know no one at Twitch support, but it's fine. I just have the camera mirrored. True. You never know. Oh, maybe you do actually. You can see where the door is. You're gonna say Phoebe looked a bit different. Well, they couldn't send Phoebe, so they sent her coach, which yeah, I guess that's also okay. We see a5. I'm not really good at saying what Jesse will play because I wanted to say b5 is more logical. We traded up. I don't know. I think Phoebe also has good commentary. So, but in Elo, we traded up a little bit. Hello, Cinemoral. Hannah on 1.5, but not all knows that as we can. You can. I don't have her stream open. Those are lies, Fly. But thanks for the update. Okay, a4 here is not that great because it gives away this b4 square, where I can go put our knight. And it's a nice outpost for the knight. Thank you, Cinema Rolls. And a4 is played. So let's recap what I said. I said I would start with b5 because then we don't have to think about a4. Jesse started with a5. Then I was gonna say a4 is not that great because we can put the knight on b4. And then a4 happened. Not sure what's going on here. If I now say knight a6 is not that great, maybe Jesse will play it. Okay, but knight a6 seems to make a lot of sense, bringing the knight here. And then later probably we'll have to sack a pawn with b5 to break open the king side. One other thing, in general, you always want to avoid pushing in front of your king. Because you can see this king sort of gets naked. One thing about us South Africans is we are very unpredictable. Good to know. Good to know. I'll keep that in mind. Okay, I want to see Jesse on the cam. Oh, they moved the cam. Did they move the cam a little bit to the right? I think Jesse's just leaning forward. Okay, knight a6 makes a lot of sense. Other moves, I guess we can also still do this, but then a5 doesn't make that much sense. Very happy I started reading Convello and Fly messages before I read them out loud. Although Fly's message was fine, they're predictably unpredictable. But okay, Jesse is fully back into the game. We'll just forget about that we were probably close to losing before. Now Jesse will take over. And let's go in. Yeah, I wanted to say, can we sack already? Not bad. Well, not horrible. The problem is you just control this square so well. And one other problem is that there's also bishop d5 hitting the rook. And then you can probably take with the queen, the bishop is well placed. Practically, chances, probably we prepared a little bit. Imagine Jesse sacking while Derp's away. Looks like a Derp problem. I also have some stroopwafels. I have different stroopwafels than yesterday because I finished Alex's stroopwafels. Just if I need a snack because I haven't had dinner yet. And it is already Dutch dinner time, which is strictly at 6 p.m. Every Dutch person eats dinner at 6 p.m. Just like we eat breakfast at 9 or 8, lunch between 12 and 1, and then dinner between 6 and 7. That's how the Dutch eat. And then we go on holiday to Spain. But you had the candy, and the candy was actually nice. She did bring a lot of snacks. That's true. I also had snacks, but she didn't like my snacks, so I don't know what's wrong with them. Yeah, I wanted to say, you say it perfectly. Remember to take batteries if you go to Spain. And then we go to Spain, and then we want to eat at 6, and nothing is open until like 9. And then we're all confused. Which is really funny when Dutch people go to Spain for the first time. Yeah. But we do love going to Spain or any other country where you can get a nice sunburn. The specialty of the house. Okay, Jesse thinking. He's locked in, as you can see on the cam. Ready to attack. So I think the idea is to put your knight on b4, so that when we play b5 in the future, there's one less defender of the square. But we probably have to sacrifice at some point with b5 to really get the attack going. Would also be nice if we could put the knight on c7 maybe. Let me find the right arrows and then push b5, but not that easy. Maybe we bring the rook. Just this whole king situation is a little bit awkward. I just want to also say this could be a move. Putting something else on this square. And it's also a logical move. Aiming to afterwards develop a knight like this. Or like this. Although c5 really gives away the square. Goedenavond, Evelino. Which is good evening in Dutch. With a little bit of soft G. I'm gonna keep snacking on this candy, by the way. I really need to. That's a quick h4. That's a really quick h4. Late in the game. And now her opponent has castle to king. That does mean hat evening. And Jesse's opponent's plan is not that complicated. h5. And see what black does. Isn't it hats evening, Wavelino? As Wooden is they're multiple, right? So Fly says, I know we have pawn cube, but white's pawn storm looks dangerous or scary. Yeah, that's true. That's also okay. Yeah, so the pawn cube, it turns out, is just not the best defensive pawn structure. And this will just happen, and we can't really stop it. So I guess we'll have to hurry up a little bit with our own attack. Maybe knight d7, b5, and just go sacrifice. But it is a bit tricky for Jessie. And she's spending time now, trying to figure out how to continue here. She could also be considering taking. Hello, Plundering. How are you? Welcome in. But after taking, okay, the normal move is takes, or also take with the queen. But luckily we have a computer, because the computer also says that h5 here is a move. Oh yeah, the day of traveling. Towards a trip, from a trip, work. Anyways, I hope wherever you went or are going, it will be fun. Or where you came from, also good. And apparently if you save the bishop here, you're just lost, because the rook will come in. Back from visiting my mom for a long weekend. Oh, that sounds nice. Will we see this? No. I think a normal person after takes, which has been played in the game, I really need to stop saying we won't see this, right? Because for some reason, every time I say this, it happens. Okay. White can take back in two ways, so apparently h5 is also a move. Nice glasses. Well, I'm not Jesse, but thank you for the compliment for the glasses. And welcoming Cappy. So yeah, decision on how to take. If you see h5, I will, I'll go eat a stroopwafel. Just a little bit off. It would be really surprising if h5 happened. But yeah, bc3 sort of makes sense to keep this pressure going. On the other hand, keeping your king a little safe with queen c3 also very logical. And the difference is not that big. Also, bc3 basically covers b4, so the knight will never hop in there. That's another reason why you could take with a pawn. I'm just thinking about it now. And we'll see in a little bit what she will decide. Let's take a look at what happens here. Because now it doesn't really make sense to bring your knight here. Maybe we bring it here. Taking is never really good because everything gets opened up. For example, takes. We can move the rook here. And let's say the queen goes here. We already have this. So we see b takes c3. Luckily no h5, although eating a stroopwafel is not really a punishment for most people. I guess we can also consider the sacrifice right now. Although maybe it's better to first move the knight, so we always have rook b8. If takes. Although even then, don't know if the sacrifice is great. Other option is still knight a6. Let's say we continue h5, d5. How do we continue? Maybe h6? Okay, this... I don't know what this is called. But apparently this is the line. And apparently it's okay for black. But it's really scary. So the reason why we keep moving the pawns forward is we don't really want to open up the h file. So yeah, it's holdable, but it's not really fun. So knight a6, let's say a slow move. I don't even know how we make a slow move. Okay, never mind. We'll sacrifice a pawn. Wonder if this is a case of I think this is good, or is it more let's complicate matters. We'll see what happens. b5 pawn sacrifice. And Jessie played it pretty quickly, which is good. It shows confidence. Or it wants to show confidence. Maybe she isn't confident at all, but she's like, I'm the higher rated player here. Let's just act like everything is okay. Which is a valid strategy. If you feel like your position is a little worse, it can be good to basically just play like everything is fine. Don't show too much emotion. I think Jesse has a pretty good poker face. So that should be fine. I feel like you just have to take. I don't really see what else. And then you can consider pushing, but then you might need to trade queens and go into an endgame of pawn down. So I assume Jesse would take back. And maybe we develop already. Getting ready for a rook b8. Rook c8, rook b8. Maybe in the future we'll push. And it's an interesting position. I don't think it's super easy for white to play. But if white just pays attention, should be winning. Because in the endgame, the pawn cube is actually horrible. One set of double pawns usually already is a problem, but two. You can see if we would remove, for example, these two pawns, even though it's 4 against 5, this pawn is passed. So, yeah. We wouldn't want that. So that also means that Jesse has to keep attacking. Apparently the winning plan is to bring the king back to, or the best plan is to bring the king back to the center. As you can see, the center is pretty secure. So there is, the king will be safe there. The rooks will have free movement over the bottom rank. We will stop the a pawn if it ever pushes. And we're just ready to continue our attack, right? h5. And also try g5. Yeah, there's a bunch of good options. Now the big question is, can we not take? For example, bishop d3, is that any good? Well, after takes, I think we can start bringing pieces. Knight d7, knight b6. Give us some attacking chances at least. So yeah, I think white needs to be a little careful here. Or a little brave, going to take the sacrificed pawn. But we'll see if that will happen. The cam lagging. A little bit. The cam should be okay. But I must say that yes, the opponent has been playing pretty well so far. So yeah, really hope that Jesse can make something out of this game still. But this would, for example, be good for... It would be kind of weird not to take. Actually, the top engine line is not... Well, one of them is to take the pawn. The other is bishop d5, basically keeping this part closed. And yeah, it's lagging a little, right? Well, nothing we can do about it. Oh. Let's hope it holds. I don't know, maybe South African internet is not the best. Oh. Well, anyways, this is also an option for white. Basically saying, let's keep this a little more closed. Maybe we push after. And again, we need to keep it closed. You can always take with the queen. Bishop covers b7, so there's no rook b7, queen a3. Also queen a3, queen b2. Or even king d2 probably is fine. So yeah, it's... I know, we won't talk about it anymore, Julie. So this is still the live position. Opponent seems to be just chilling in the chair, figuring out what he should do next. We're back. Oh, there's actually quality on the cam. What happened? Internet at chess events is never the best somehow. Well, maybe that's a good thing. You don't really need internet during the games. Nor do we want it working for the suspicious players, you know. For everyone who thinks that cheating doesn't happen at chess tournaments, I've seen it happen with my own eyes, so it does happen. We see bishop d3. I think I have gotten more moves wrong in a guess than I got right. Also, I think the heating just turned off because both Jessie and her opponent from yesterday put on their sweater slash jacket. So I think a cold breeze just passes by. That's not true, Fly. That's not Fly person. Would we like to see this bishop d3? Probably gives us more chances. No, there was no cheating at well, not that we know. Jola. Also don't think there was cheating at Tala still. So we can take here now. Another option could be b4, but I don't really know what happens after. I was thinking c4, but maybe c5. Actually, this looks okay. Oh, welcome back, Derp. Yes. So yeah, I think taking makes sense. We can also first put more pressure, maybe with 97, keeping the pawn hanging. Saying, yeah, go take it. I want to see you take it. I'll bring the rooks. I'll win. Yeah, would you like to know? No, I'm not gonna leak a secret this time. I'm not gonna do it. Perfect, Derp. Also, Derp, you need to be nice. We're gonna meet at a chess room. I guess you can be mean whenever you want to. He does take on a4, which seems the most logical opening lines towards the king. And if we don't see queen a4, I don't know anymore. I don't see a reason not to take here. Yeah. You will be nice. We love Mr. Coach. Thank you. She's reaching to take. And we finally see a move I predicted. She takes back. I need to stop it. I need to stop eating candy. I need to keep some room for dinner. And not get too much sugar. Okay, how do we continue the attack now? This king is actually a little bit open. Wait, Jessie just got a lot of money or something. Oh, no, wait, she got snacks. Is it snacks? You got coffee, right? Does a knight d7 hang a pawn? That's a great question, Screws. Does this pawn hang? Well, if we take it, I think we have rook c8. I think we bring this rook, just so it's not hanging. And as you can see, we don't only attack the queen, but also the c3 pawn. And, well, let's say we move the queen here. You can already start seeing. Now we might have some attack going. Apparently the best move. If you Apparently the best move here is queen d6, hanging a full rook. And after takes, then we play queen b4. And rook c8. And we can take, but we can also play knight b6. And the only move is queen b7. Can I tell you why it's queen b7? I have no clue. Queen c4, king d2. And I assume we're heading for a perpetual here. As the engine gives a lot of zeros. Or maybe not actually. Wait, rook c8, knight c3. And here, queen c8. And queen g4. Oh yeah, that's her. I see a perpetual coming. Yeah, I clearly saw all this myself. But the question was, isn't there a pawn hanging? No, you can't really take here. Rook c8 will just be too annoying to deal with. I was wondering about this move. Apparently here this draws. Sometimes I think we will be better off without an engine, you know? Because there's a million discoveries and the best move is, yeah, I'll go attack. Which also sacrifices a pawn, by the way. Like, that's a pawn. Yeah, I'm gonna stop here. These lines won't happen. If they happen, I don't know. Oh, yeah. I was gonna say chat gets full free song requests for a day, but then I would probably die, so let's not do that. Does Jesse not like simple positions? I don't think Jesse likes simple positions. Okay, a little time update. Jesse's opponent has 55 minutes. Jesse has 58 minutes. So the time is pretty close. There's no added time at move 30. So we don't really care about what move we're there on. But this was White's 20th move. But I have been playing pretty fast. There's people who are already in time trouble on move 20. So. Another idea besides developing could be to bring the king to g8, but I don't know if I love that. We can also protect the pawn. Queen d6. But it all feels a little slow. I think we just have to develop, and just as I say that, you can sort of see it on the cam, but Jesse played knight d7. Basically saying you can take my pawn. I'll play rook c8 and go and checkmate you. I don't think we will see takes on c6. A logical move could be h5, trying to attack. Or maybe we start running the king, which is a little bit weird, but the king is pretty unsafe here. So maybe we bring it, well, maybe just here. This looks like a pretty safe square. So yeah, this could be a pretty decent option as well. Other than that, like, it just makes sense to push here. We can't really involve the f-pawn because this is hanging. Can try to improve the queen, but is the queen really doing much on c2? Not really. Maybe bring the rook. That's another option. But then knight b6, and now we start creating some stuff. Especially because there's stuff like this, queen a3. And you can already see the attack going. So yeah, this is also not great for white. Now we'll look at the engine suggestion. H5, H6. Okay, this all makes sense. Now, guess this is with lightning. And here apparently now we can take. I would say don't ask me why, but we'll just figure that. I'll see if the board is still okay. Yeah, the board is still okay. Because after rook c8 now apparently is fine. Oh, we need to go back. Yeah. So in other lines we didn't have to go back. Now there's probably some tactics with pushing the pawn down the board. Tetris piece. This is actually a Tetris piece. But for example, rook c8 and yeah. Okay, the best moves are a little bit fake, but you can probably take here and be a little bit better. I see h5. Yeah, this move was still logical. As it just continues the attack. I wonder if you can take. How bad is this? This looks pretty bad because you have to go like queen d6, get your king out. So instead we see g5. Really quickly played again by Jesse. She seems to be pretty quick in these sort of you have no other move moments. Not like there are no other moves, but it's pretty clear that the other moves are probably not that great, so he saves time for later moves with this move now. And I assume, yeah, I was gonna say I assume h6. And, well, a quick g6 probably. Here she might spend some more time, as pushing g6 of course is a little scary. Your opponent is playing really well, I must say. Of course, I think in South Africa there's not as many tournaments as in Europe. In Europe there's like 5 tournaments going on at the same time almost every week. Which is a great upside for us. Welcome in, franchise. How are you? But yeah, g6 played. And now it's time for our opponent to think, how do we continue the attack? Probably not h7. I think then just king g7. He can already even try to pick up the pawn maybe. So this feels like it's too much. So probably better. Well, the best is taking, but that just looks scary. And although looks scary usually doesn't count as a way to evaluate, a lot of people just try to avoid it. Even though it's a pawn. And as Yesser would say, pawn is a pawn. So maybe we can take it. You tried? It's okay, Screws. I'll give her some more rook end games, no worries. No, I know you guys wanted it. It's okay, it's okay. We're going Amen. Okay, opponent spending some time here, which I like. Wait, Title Tuesday isn't over yet, right? I guess she felt really tired. Yeah, black is barely hanging on. White has been playing very well. Yeah, but 2.5 is not too bad in Title Tuesday, I guess. It just sucks for her time zone wise. No, but you're right, Amen. It's a tough position. Opponent playing well. It isn't lost. No, we're talking about Hannah. Some people from Hannah's community came in. Position isn't lost. She is just a little worse. But it's fine. Yeah, and Screws correctly highlighted Jesse's on 4 out of 5 and losing rating. That's not nice at all. Oh, true. You're from Jesse's community. Sorry, Screws. No, it's not like we would resign here. So opponent has some less time. Welcome in. I'm homeless, by the way. Screws is the community. That's true. Screws has his own community, you know. How to prevent the promotion of that pawn? Well, if you push now, the king can move up, and we can see now the rooks open up to defend against the promotion. You have to work really hard for that here, Screws, fly. Screws put the community in Communist Party. Or bomb party? And actually this is good for white. Basically, the pawn is more annoying on h6 than it is on h7. Still have to be careful, but yeah. Sorry, Fly. It's just you guys' messages are just I don't know. You both need to. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going. Yeah, no, Fly. True. Also lost my train of thought now. Yeah, I was gonna say this is not too annoying for us. And basically what white would love to do is f4, but we can see that then e3 would be hanging. So maybe rook e1 could be an idea. It feels really slow though. And also, if you play king g8, f4 is not really a move ever, because I think we don't even have to take. And after takes, that should help us. So we can probably play knight b6 and go start our attack. This is clearly almost a legal move. Yeah, that's also not really great. But it's not as easy as it looks. Like the bar is in white's favor, but they have to find an idea. And finding an idea here is not as easy as it seems. One plan could be to double the rooks. But then again, we bring the king. And, well, you can put the king here. And this pawn is not going anywhere. And what are your rooks doing? Yeah, king d2 seems like a logical move. So this could be logical. And, well, the question is how do we continue after? Like queen d6, we protect. And again, it looks like white wants to play here, but the engine indicates that it's better to play, already start playing a little bit on the queen side. Yeah, the position is exciting, and her opponent, Jessie's opponent, now has to find some strong ideas, and otherwise maybe Jessie can take over. Which you of course hope for. What her opponent needs to do, according to the machine, is take on c6. Which looks really scary, because we open up lines to our king, and then allow this capture. And okay, we will win the a5 pawn, but our king is now in the center. And actually the engine is already not sure here what's going on. Because white also has ideas of snagging a pawn. Bouncing back between title choosing. It's perfect. Your grad student hasn't gotten off to a great start in PogChamp. For everyone who doesn't know, Rachel, who's one of my students, is coaching one of the PogChamp streamers. But I think they only did like 2 lessons, so I assume it might be rough. But it not. They actually started already. I thought PogChamps was at TwitchCon, or is this a qualifier or like a test thing? I'll ask Rachel. Should be fine. Okay, opponent thinking. She's almost down to the second. Yeah, I know. I saw Rachel going live for it. But I thought it was a TwitchCon. I'll ask her or check it. Yeah, opponent down to 45 minutes, so that means they spent the first half of their time. Of course, 30 seconds increments, so they can always go up. Or when they're low on time, can gain some back. But it's clear that she isn't really sure how to continue here. Deep in thought, and we see that Jessie left. She left her coffee though. It seems to be cold in the playing hall because opponent of yesterday's is hugging her jacket. A lot of people in their sweaters, jackets. We see Jessie back also wearing her sweater. Sipping her. Well, we don't know what it is. I will assume coffee, but you guys maybe know Jessie better. Also, let me. That's better. I don't know if Jessie prefers tea, coffee, hot chocolate, whatever gets you going during a chess game. Thinks you can outplay the 1600 in the endgame. Well, we first need to get to an endgame. So welcome in. And maybe she can already do that in the middle game. She's 2000 for a reason. We see a move, I think. Looks like Queen 8. Queen 8-2. And we can already see. Engine starts to like black. What could the idea of Queen A2 be? Normally I would say it's to bring the queen here, but we can't really do that. The pressure here, can't really do that. Maybe I want to do something like this. Oh. I'm not sure what the move does. And now what Jessie can do is start bringing her knight in. Knight b6, knight d5. We already see some stuff. We're winning. Oh, that's one of those things that is so hard nowadays. We see the small minus. We're winning. No, but things are moving in our favor for sure. We're gonna get another win. I told you, it's not as easy as it looks. Also, Jessie's higher rated. She got this. Which chess title do I have? I don't have a chess title, dear sir. Yet. We always put yet there. Brought another. Didn't you commentate a lot? I didn't. It wasn't me. But yeah, I think it's time to bring the knight. You can also first push the pawn. Actually, wait, I need to check. No, Georgiana did commentary yesterday evening when unfortunately Jessie lost. So I don't want to be gaslit like this, Fly. This is not nice. We only commentate wins. Yeah, I agree. The pawn is fine here. Um, but I think bringing the knight in, because the knight is not great here. I was thinking maybe that's the idea. Maybe she was worried about c5 and wanted to be able to protect d5, but pushing the pawn to d5 is not great anyways. As, well, it's on the square of your bishop, it blocks your queen. I can just put the queen here, knight here, and we have a good position. So I don't think that's a problem. What is the problem with c5? I think this is a bad move. Well, king d2 again. But can't pawn reach a3, which is a dark square? True. That's true. But I think it controls a lot on... Let me find the correct line, sorry. Queen a2. So king d2 again. The king just has to go... Now probably, like, it's always a little bit scary to bring your king back to the center after you've castled. But the king is just so open here. You can see, like, all the lines are open. Knight might be coming in. If you take here, stuff will be open. I feel like c5 is natural here. We're talking about this. This is also fine, but I guess the pawn is just harder to defend here. Like, the rook can maybe come in. Yeah. And it's pretty stuck now, the pawn. It's hard to make it advance more. I think it's fine to leave it on a5. It's a passed pawn. We can always push it later. No reason to do that now. So again, best move is knight d6. And then bring the knight to d5 when we can see the c3 square is interesting. But also, because we still have the pawn here, if the pawn ever pushes, b4 is super nice. Well protected knight there. Already forking some stuff. Don't even know if you want the bishop. The knight is so good there. Always something to keep in mind when trading pieces. Is it actually worth it? Like, usually we would like to take this bishop as it's pretty good. But yeah. It's... knight b6 not so obvious because of c4. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's true. c4 is a good move. Apparently here's... Now c5 is good. But c4, of course, has the downside of blocking your own pieces a bit. So that's why c5 is a good move. Example, something like this. I feel like black is taking over here for sure. EB looks different. I'm sorry. I start to disappoint you, Giant Pixels. But welcome in. Let me read this one sec. Okay, you came at a perfect time. It's the time where Jessie is taking over. Her opponent just played this move. Queen a2, which is very mysterious. Yes, I'll go back to the live position. This is the live position. And we're just gonna wait for Jessie's move. Might go look for a snack in a little bit. But Jessie has the opportunity to play knight b6 here, which is not the most obvious. But I think c5 also looks interesting. a4 can also improve the queen first, but that doesn't make sense. Another move that doesn't really make sense is king g8, as it plunders a pawn. Yeah. Well, we have to commentate on the full game, right? Would be a little bit boring if we do one side of the game only. Or I'm getting spammed with messages in the meantime. And we see knight b6. Jessie has played the best move, of course, as we are used to see from her. I do. Did we see the French? No, this was a Trompowski. Or Trompovsky. Or whatever you want. So no French. Opponent played d4. We couldn't go into a French. Sorry to disappoint you. I've commentated 2 games now and haven't gotten a Jesse February French. It's really sad. Yeah. You have a question, you can always ask a question. 1d4 should be made an illegal. Only e4, only French. How to counter the Dutch at an 1800 level. There's a bunch of setups. The Dutch is d4. Let me draw arrows. f5. I always used to like to play bishop g5 systems. But you can also just go for a Catalan setup, which is what the engine recommends. There's just a bunch of cool openings. There is e4, which is a gambit. You even can play h3 g4, which I've seen before, which is really tricky. A lot of options. Um, 1d4 is for people too lacking in confidence to play 1c4. The English has gotten me some good results recently online and in some other time control. That's good. I always wonder if I should try it more. And in classical chess, sorry. But then I usually play e4, so then I have to, right? Because e4, of course, best by test. 1 second, guys. I'm gonna quickly get rid of some dust here. I wanna get it out here. 1 second. Oh, the cam left. Not again. Oh, never mind. The cam is back. Cam is back. No worries. No worries. Why am I not playing in PogChamps? I think that wouldn't be fair. Because I'm the coach of one of the coaches, so maybe I'm a little stronger than the participants. I'm not sure. I switched from 1e4 to c4 a few years back and it's been great. Good. That's true. PogChamp camera is back. Perfect. Okay, sorry, I get spammed a little bit by messages. I will tell them to be quiet. Never mind. I think I would win PogChamps blindfolded, and that's not an exaggeration. I think I would. Cam. Camera needs to stay, guys. I want the camera to stay until the end. We want to see Jessie win this time. Last time she won, but we missed the highlight where she checkmated her opponent. Where do you stand on the viral question, internet question, could 100 random men beat one gorilla in a fight? I think 100 random men, you say. Or 100 random people, which shouldn't matter, of course. There's no chance. What do the people get? Do we just fight bare hands, or? And is it 1 by 1 or is it all at the same time? No weapons, but at the same time. Okay. What do you play against? Something 3. Is that knight f3? Well, I guess it's one. I can see it, like because it's. I think it's a link, sort of. You put a dot in. No, no. Absolutely no shot. 100 men beat the gorilla. I think there's knight f6. c4 played. This was recommended or highlighted by I'm homeless. Human fear and no fear. That's a good point, Springer Archie. Jesse reacted with knight f6 instead of e6. If she would have played e6, aiming for French, that could be the case. But I don't know what Jesse usually plays, to be honest. If it's the Nimzo or like the Queen's Gambit declined, probably e6 would be okay. Yes, Jesse is, well, much better right now. In the last few moves, the Queen was put on a passive square, and now this is blocked. And we're trying to answer the question whether 100 random men will beat a gorilla pair and in a fight without weapons, but they can go all at the same time. I don't know. 100 random men. I guess they're adult males, right? That's. I don't know. Could be. Hmm. Yeah, that's true. How would you ever heard it? But it's random, right? So there is a chance that you have some really strong. Do they get to discuss tactics before? I assume so. Good question. I think the gorilla has the upper hand, but I don't think the men are without a chance. But I do agree. I think with the code, basically the. Oh, chess spawn. I'm doing well. Starting to get a little hungry, but Jesse will win in like an hour, so then I can have food. I think the gorilla will win. I agree with Chet. But it is interesting because I think you can make tactics. Like if you both go from, if all go from different sides. How did the game end it yesterday? I couldn't stay for the end. So in the morning she won, and then in the afternoon slash evening, Georgiana did the commentary, and sadly Jessie lost. But right now she's going to win again, of course. I need to manifest it because Screws told me to. Just charge all at once out for the. Yeah, but you need to charge from different sides, I feel. Because we can't charge from all sides, because then he can just hit more of us at once. So I think we charge from different sides. Oh, well, Screws told me to manifest, so. Well, he didn't tell me, but he was trying to manifest. It's a good question. I agree. This looks good for Jesse, yes. Well, there were some iffy moments. What's the plan here? I think c5 to basically ask Black the question, should we put more pawns on light squares where our bishop is? Block the queen more? I like c5. But there's other options. You can try to bring the king here. Georgiana ran out of chocolate. Yeah, that's a big issue. I like c5. Although there's no rush, because this just isn't good because we bring the knight. I like blockading this. Okay, let's look at what white does here. Is this okay? This was my idea. Knight b4, queen b3. I guess this rook b8 is annoying. And then there's all sorts of stuff happening. So yeah, I feel like this is also fine. But c5 just makes sense. After d5 we can... I was thinking queen d6, but apparently I don't understand chess. Ah, there's some threats of sacrifices, so we don't really want that. What do we do here? Okay, I guess now we start pushing a pawn. It's still not an easy position at all. A lot can still happen. Maybe we bring the king to h7 now. Some random fella told me to always sack. Knight c8, knight d6. But I do like my knight here. But it's not a bad idea, I think. Queen a4, knight d6. Yeah, there's... White needs to make some weird moves. Or unnatural moves, I guess. King d2. And the queen came from the square, so why did we move it there in the first place? Here also rook b8, rook b4 coming. This is how we found out that derps always sack persona as stolen from someone. I don't know, Jodo. This derp person will remain a mystery until I meet him. Just soon. Hello, Heppa Beats. How are you? Good to see you. What if we insert the queen and use the open file? That's like a plan. But the problem is the queen is still here and the bishop's also here, so this king isn't checkmated like 1, 2, 3, but still. We also do have this passer. Nice. I mean, someone from Ben Feingold saying, always sack the exchange. I just dropped the exchange part. Baby step. Yeah, true. We should take it nice and slow. Jesse also spending time. No, I don't think he qualifies as a kid, and I don't think it's even close, Derp. You like the c5 move? He lost to Dina, watch GM. Careful. You just called Gukas's coach washed. Which must mean I'm also washed, so... Okay, our opponent, Jesse's opponent also has 38 minutes. Jesse counting down her minutes to 43 now. But this is a good moment. He needs to figure out how do we really take over fully. Those two comments are both hard, I guess. I hope you've washed. I mean, you're turning 27 this year. I prefer people who are washed to those who are unwashed, true. No way is Nigel 10 years older than Sam. Poor Sam. Is this an all-women event? Yes, Jessie is playing in the ladies section. There is an open section, as you can see. There's also male players walking around and playing in the same playing hall. But yes, she is playing in the ladies section. Actually, gonna have a little peek on board one, just because I feel like. Okay, it seems like Jessie's opponent from yesterday, who she lost to, is having an interesting attack, but it's not super clear yet. What else do we have? Let's see what happens if we bring the rook. Because this feels also natural. Again, the king, running the king seems like what the engine wants. Jesse plays a4 instead, which is not the top engine move, but the engine doesn't hate it either. Maybe it's better this way. Derp. Exactly, Jolo. Okay, engine recommends queen b2, hitting the knight. These moves just don't fit. But it's also hard to say what is natural here. Is she happy with the king sitting on f8? There is no dark side bishop though. And the upside of it not being on g8 is that there's no tactics along the diagonals. That's almost the correct arrow. Wait one sec. So that's the upside. On the other hand, I would love to put my king on h7. Just to stop this pawn, because this pawn can be really annoying. And we don't really want that. Let me read some discussion in my chat. Okay. But I think what Jesse's saying is, okay, I push a4. I'm gonna try to attack your king using the pawn. Maybe making room for the rook. So one idea could be, let's say I make a random move. Play a3 and then bring the rook after. To hit c4, but also maybe bring it to b4, b2 at some point. So yeah, I think this looks like it could be good. So yeah, this looks like it's Jesse's plan. So that's why queen b2. Okay, I'm just gonna put the moves in that I think, like rook eb8, bring a rook to the attack. But this blunders to h7 and h8 when the rook needs to do two things at once, which we can do, of course. This is a brilliant move. H8, I'm not really sure. The idea is to sacrifice the queen, but in essence you sacrifice a pawn. One funny thing, sometimes you promoting to a bishop does the same, but I wonder if you promote to a bishop here, if you actually can just move the king. We don't have to worry about all this though. The move played was king c2. Trying to bring the rook over, I think. And I assume now we might see either queen c5 again, probably one of the better moves. Another good move is queen e6, putting pressure on this pawn, which I don't know if you really want it, but also putting pressure along this diagonal, and maybe indirectly defending this. So that's a multi-purpose move. But rook b1 is a clear plan for white, putting pressure on this knight, which is pretty good. And what we don't want, if I make a random move, for example, is this happening when the knight can't go here. And now our knight is basically, well, it's not great anymore. Do we really want to do this? Not sure. That's a good score, Derp. Yeah, this is the current position. So what does white do after this move? Because now rook b1. Now we can go back because there's no c5 anymore. It's really important for us. Although we need to be a little careful, there's some pin here. But still, this seems good for us. The Dutch is a fine opening, he says. He doesn't know, guys. Don't tell him. Yeah, I want to try my natural rook EB8 again. But I think after rook B1, there's just quite a bit of pressure here. And white's idea is quite simple now, just doubling the rooks, putting pressure on this piece. And I don't think we want to exchange everything, because then this pawn will fall. Yeah, we don't really want it. I think c5 is a move Jessie will play. Having said that now, probably she won't play it, because that's how today has been going. But it's just very... I need to just... a3 has been played. Which the computer doesn't like. I just can't guess Jessie's move yet. Hopefully Alex will ask coach to give her Portuguese prep. That'll teach him the value of a doobie. I see how it is. I think right now, as Alex is not thinking about prep at all. Okay, well, I think white just goes for their plan, and I assume that was rook b1. Hello, Lila. Welcome. Thank you. It's an exciting game, let's just say that. For everyone, well, I think most people know Lila. I think you're doing commentary tomorrow, right? Oh, it's a Lila raid. I need to... Thank you for the raid, Lila. Welcome in, raiders. Tomorrow morning. Oof. That must be really early. Although for you, maybe it's okay. But thank you for the raid. Hope you had a good stream. Welcome in, everyone. I do sound a bit Afrikaans. Never noticed it before. Maybe it's the Dutch accent. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in, Bowties. Welcome in, Aladdin. Welcome in, Lazy Sloth. Jessie has just played this move a3. Some people have to work tomorrow. Oh, yeah, we can't be having that. What Dutch accent? Maybe I should take that as a compliment. If this trump black's pawn structure looks... In this trump... In this trump, yeah. Yeah, so basically we had a carrow pawn structure. Where was it? Here. This is basically a carrow pawn structure, but this pawn should be there. It's really funny. And now we are... Where are we? Here. I have so many lines in the analysis that I can't find. How would I pronounce... Yes. Both eyes would pronounce it Rebecca. Okay, but I'm really wondering what the first part. So it's GQEBERHA. I can't figure out what the first part should be. I guess the Q... No. I was gonna say the Q is silent, but that doesn't make sense at all. I really can't figure this out. Chewbacca? There's a click. Okay, maybe I don't know Afrikaans. But maybe I should introduce myself to the raiders. I'm not Joel. I'm doing a commentary for Jessie today. but I'm also the coach of Hannah Says, Phoebe with and many more streamers, and also non-streamers. And I guess I do quite a bit of commentary. So that's me. I also play chess sometimes with nowadays better results again. So that's good. Opponent is reaching for a piece, by the way. Rook. It looked like A1. Rook A1. Okay, this is not the best move, but it's also not a bad move. You can always bring the other rook to B1. But this does give Jesse the chance to play C5 again. Although, is that logical here? C5, Queen B3? And the pawn is hanging? Not really clear, I think. Also, just rook HB1 should be considered. But maybe then knight D7 would be okay. It's a little bit weird seeing all these white pieces in this corner. So don't know if this is the best setup for white. Feels a little bit passive for K1. You would like your rook on this open file, putting pressure on your opponent's pieces. But the machine says it's okay. If Queen B3, she can take on D4. Yes, I think that works. Although this is hanging, right? Wait. There was a line where this worked, and I forgot. Wait, this is hanging, never mind. No, I think here, maybe? No, because the rook is hanging. Never mind, I'll keep on having this. That sounds like an idea. Yeah, but here you can just protect the knight first, or move it. Maybe move it. This is also a way to play. Although the move Queen E6 wouldn't be the first move I would consider. This is just a hard position. I'm not gonna lie, this position is just tough for both sides. There's just so much going on. Strange that someone from South Africa doesn't play rugby 1. Wait, what is this emote? I can't see that here. 1G6 you can get behind. Oh. The white piece's group hug is indeed very nice. Look how friendly. All together. So no, this pawn is a little bit sad on its own, but this is nice and cozy. Ah, South African flag. Okay. Okay, this is the live position. Jesse's thinking. Both have a little bit over half an hour left on the clock. So no time trouble just yet. But it is a close game. Which is, on one hand, it's fun. But against lower rated people, you of course want to win nice and smoothly. We can say a lot of things about this game. It hasn't been nice and smooth all the way through. True. Good job. 1 second. I guess we can also try to start walking the king over, as this is not just hanging just yet. But then again, we can do the group hug. And then something like this. Ah, I see the engine has found some crazy moves again. Queen H2. Queen B6. Do I like Coda? I've seen... Jesse's dog is really cute. I've seen him? I guess it's a him. Coda's a... Coda's a male dog name, right? Oh, that's a really cute dog. Okay. Okay, now I like c5. Who's the best Coda, Phoebe's or Jesse's? Well, Phoebe's Coda is not Phoebe's Coda anymore, so guess then I have to say Jesse's. We have another raid. I really need to fix that I can see raids in Restream. But welcome in Meditator77, I guess. When everyone. We're watching Jesse play in the Moja Extravaganza. Welcome in. She is thinking right now in an equal but very exciting and complicated position. So we're gonna see what she comes up with. Hope you had a good stream. Welcome into all the raiders. Oh, did Fly not know that? Yes, our Jess's opponent just has played Rook A1 and putting pressure on this A pawn. Jesse likes all kind of taters. That does make me hungry. Not gonna lie. I don't have real... I'm looking forward to my dinner. Taters? That's a good combo taste. Or I wonder if they got patatas bravas in Joburg. Good question. But guys, no food talk. That gets me hungry. I don't want to be hungry right now. I want to be a chess commentator. Focus. No, I'm not really focused, but I don't want to think about food too much because then I really get hungry. What am I having for dinner? Great question. Depends on the time, I think. I have some pasta left. I have some... I felt like Fly wasn't ever in Phoebe's anymore. That confirms true. I also have some shawarma in the fridge, I think, still. Which I should finish soon, so probably make a couple of those. You guys all can sort out food. I guess I can... I think Jesse said we're allowed to take breaks, but I don't like taking a break. I wanna see how this goes. Also, making shawarma takes like probably like 15 minutes, so I don't feel... And eating it on stream would be... let's just say that would create a new emote, so let's not do that. But I do have some stroopwafel. Maybe I should... Let me just eat one stroopwafel. Jesse might have said you can take breaks. Wait, one sec. But that doesn't mean you can take breaks. Welcome in, Sergio. Yes. Jesse has 30 minutes left, and our opponent has 32 minutes left. For everyone who doesn't know, stroopwafel. Dutch snack. Pretty good. I don't have... I have iced tea, but almost empty. But Guess that doesn't count. I can put them over my iced tea, but... Do I have more? Yeah. Empty. I know. What would be worse? A mustard waffle or a curry waffle? Queen a7 played, which was one of the top moves, I believe. I lied. It's okay. I would say mustard waffle. I think if you get the correct curry, it could be okay. Yeah, I wanted to say maybe you can get like with a good curry. Could be nice. No, Derp, we just got a real curry. Okay, the best line here is Rook HP1, C5, and Queen takes A3, sacrificing the exchange. Brilliant move. And apparently, this is equal. I think that's sort of okay to figure out, as this rook is super active, this king is still a little bit in trouble, and you will get some passers here or a passer here, but it's not easy to play this. Rook h4 makes a lot of sense though, putting the rook on the open file, so maybe we'll see that. False it is. I'll have to smoke the eel for pay. This h6 is so annoying. I agree. Means the king has to stay close here. Okay, good ketchup is really Dutch. I will tell you, Fly, I don't really like ketchup. I don't know if that gets me any hate, but I don't really like ketchup. I'm more of a mayonnaise mustard type of person. Curry is better. I just don't like the ketchup, I think. Rook hb1 played. And it is pretty important Jesse finds c5 here. On other moves, queen b3 will follow and we might be in trouble. Or rook b3. White has a simple plan, just trying to win the pawn. And we have to break open the position before that happens. At least we don't put ketchup on our pizza. That sounds like a crime. Who does that? Was it Alex? But pizza has tomato sauce in it, and tomato sauce is clearly the same as ketchup. I agree. With no clocks, it's tough to see who has to catch up on time. I'm just gonna let that one sit for a second. Catch up on time. Yeah, I think it was Alex too. Okay, I can have... No, it was a bow ties live comment. Fun is another reason not to... That could be... If you clip it derp, we can see what Alan can do. But I have another stroopwafel. Bow ties live, not bow ties live. Anything involving ketchup is a crime, including that joke. That is not keen on ketchup, is it? But stroopwafel 2. I went Dutch there. I said 2 in Dutch. It's stroopwafel, I mean. How else could we? Okay, let's see what if Jesse plays a random other move. Yeah, that's just rook b3, and you can see we can't defend the pawn, so we have to go aggressive here. c5. I think I would say nay, but someone in chat wrote it, so if someone in chat writes attempt at a joke, I should read it, except when it's Canvello or check C or fly. I should first check if it's appropriate for the stream, and then I can read it. Oh, that's nice, both ways. Maybe Sam's or sometimes Derps. Basically, in my chat, I need to first read if it's appropriate. You've only done one, not safe for work. Thank you, Derp, for the clip. Punts like that won't curry favor with us. I don't like this. I don't like this, guys. No, don't want to make these type of jokes. That's a Screws? No, no, it's not Screws. I don't know if Screws is here. He would love those puns. Nope. Also not bow ties. It was John Chandler, who, if I remember correctly, had his birthday yesterday. So if you didn't say happy birthday yesterday, you're too late. So nothing you can do now. I know, Fly. Jessie is down to 25 minutes, so it is a critical moment, but at some point she should speed up a little bit. Let me actually order everything. I need to upgrade some lines to get to the position. I'm trying to find another move to defend this. Wrong board. But I don't see it. Like, this move doesn't do anything because we block and we fork. There's no time at move 40, no. All the players get is 30 seconds increments from the start and the 90 minutes at the start. And that's all they have. Sabina's commentary for Lille got so many dodges. What if we would go grab this pawn? I think we're too slow, right? Because this takes 3 moves, and basically this is 2 moves. And the knight will be hanging some lines. Do another times? Yes. Opponent 30 minutes. Jesse just under 24. So Jesse's spending time, but she has to find c5 here, which is quite important. With Sabina, Ila went 4 out of 4. In the other games, 1.5 out of 7. I would know who I would invite back next time. Maybe I shouldn't say that, because then I wouldn't have been invited back by other people. Is Jessie first in the tournament? No. She lost yesterday to the number 2 seed, I believe. So she's second, I assume. with 4 out of 5. Okay. Stroopwafels finished. Why is this game so complicated and why is our opponent so good? Thank you, Visic. The reason why our opponent is so good or so underrated is probably because there's not many tournaments in the region. So it could be that her opponent just hasn't played that many tournaments and thus has a low rating. You can see this in other regions. Hello, Quanta. Are you on YouTube chat? We're also live on YouTube. And on Twitch. It's actually giving me hope as an 1800 to be 2200 actually with enough time. Everything can happen. In one of my more recent tournaments, there was someone who was gonna get their FM there. They were 2270 and before the tournament they thought they would get FM there. And then in 3 games they lost 50 rating points. They were 2270, they lost to a 2000, to a 1950, and drew another 1950, and then they just quit the tournament. I mean, rating is it's an indication of your strength, but it also depends on the day. Does your opponent hit your style sometimes? How well you're prepared? How well are you health-wise? Yeah, rating doesn't say though. It is indeed a tense game. Herm. I'm gonna call you Herm. Yeah, that must be tough. This is spending a long time here. Just trying to figure out, I guess, how to work with the problem with the pawn. And this, I guess, was the problem with pushing the pawn so far down the board. It can get weak, because it's now out of reach of the knight defending it. Yeah, exactly. And that's also true. Like, just because you lost doesn't mean you have played a bad game. It can also be that you played an amazing game, and then maybe even in time trouble blundered something. Yeah, chess is just hard. That's always something that comes back. Small things can make huge differences. Yeah, that makes it both fun, but also incredibly difficult. Okay, I wonder if he plays king g8. Ooh, opponent now has a chance with rook b3 to take over again. Guess he didn't find the move c5. I was wondering what happens after d5 actually. Okay, it's just not a clear position. Like now the knight has a square, I guess, but it's not that clear. So instead we see, where are we? King g8. And we see the bar move again. The bar has been moving up and down and up and down. Yes, true fly. Did really well in the tournament last weekend. Okay, rook b3 now is the best move. You can also, to equalize, play rook, queen takes a3, queen takes a3, rook takes a3, rook takes a3, rook takes b6 when you have enough compensation to justify the exchange sack, but that's not really natural. Rook b3, going for the pawn, makes the most sense. Our opponent might spend some time here, as it's always a little bit tricky to say, wait, this is a free pawn. Is there something that I missed? Another thing in the position is bishop takes d6, And after f takes g6, move rook b6. And c5 is a huge threat. So this is another tricky thing. Why is it when a master has an advantage, they lose it in one move, but at lower levels there are alternatives? Depends on how complex the game is. Rook b3 played. Gets a great move by chess.com. Depends on how difficult the position is. In some positions there's just multiple good moves. And in this position there was just one good move, like c5 was the only good move. And now it's important to keep the queens on, so queen c7. Now we can try to look here maybe. Try to grab a pawn on our way out. But our knight is also a problem. We need to be a little careful. So for example, queen c7, rook takes a3, queen h2. Be an idea. And apparently here king c3, defending the pawn with the queen. When we can actually take the pawn. But apparently this is still good for white. I wonder why. Because we're up a pawn, but I guess... One second. Okay, we've lost connection to Jesse. But... we're back. Cam is back, guys. Did the stream go on? Let me quickly check. No, stream should be fine. b5, rook a8. Yeah. That's one of the threats. You first have to protect here, I guess. There are some threats. How did I get past 1800? I think my initial rating was around there. I don't remember where I got my FIDE rating. I can look this up. Let me check. How does this work now? Mine wasn't above 2000, I think. Oh, no, never mind. I started 1650, but I quickly climbed above. I mean, it's just playing a lot of chess, learning from your mistakes. You see queen a4. That work? Queen a4. It doesn't look good, guys. It's just queen a3, I think. Huh? And I think you're in trouble. Because now this rook is super active, up a pawn. This doesn't look good. Now, I don't think it's a DGT error. I think it's just a mistake. It was time here to give up the pawn, keep the queen active. That can happen, Fly. There is the famous story of the Dutch player Ron Nepp, who got an IM norm in his first tournament. Got in his first FIDE rating of 2480. And after that, only has gone down. Is it looking rough? Yes, I agree. Queen a4 is just not great for us. The simple queen a3. Which basically trades queens, and it was really important to keep the queens on to have chances for counterplay. And now basically after queen a3, we can't keep the queens on. I don't see a way how to do that. Please. Maybe c5 or something. It just takes, takes, and takes. And I think rook a3. And this pawn will also fall. There's quite a bunch of those, so that. And you're right, Herm. There's just some fundamentals you have to really master at 1500 to 2000 level on chess.com, for example. Queen a3 is played. Yeah, and this looks really rough. This isn't doing my curse lore any favor, does it? The eval says we're losing a piece. Well, the eval says that it's almost as worse, as bad as losing a piece. I don't think are we losing a piece? That's the question. I don't think so. But we can look at the resulting position. I would play king b2 here, to be honest. But the knight is just not good. The bishop is really good. This passer is really annoying. The rook is active. We can try grabbing a pawn. But I think we get into more trouble than we would like. This will fall and the pawns will promote. What did I do to the eval bar? I don't know, screws. The eval bar doesn't like Jesse at the moment. I don't know. Not hanging pieces and taking free materials is also important, yeah. Such an evil bar. Evil bar, yes. Yeah, I don't feel like people want me anymore. After the results. But we saw last time that Jesse actually came back from a drawn position to win. So don't want to give up hope. 5 beliefs. Is it looking pretty? No. But we can still do this. Today I watched a game in the Dutch Youth Championship between 2000s. And I saw a full rook being blundered. Like a full rook. Just because they didn't realize it was check. Everything can happen. Paying attention to middle game pawn pushes breaks seems like an oversight in a lot of under 2000 games. Oh. In the under 16 category. I think it was Imanol with black. And some 1900 middle with white. Under 16, I think, yeah. Board 5, 6, or 7 or something. I'm losing my voice. You could be a Dutch junior. Sure about that? Okay, Jesse thinking here. I wonder what she's thinking about. This is the most natural move. Maybe she thought I pin this, no way they can take. But that would be a big oversight for Jesse. Yeah, I find it hard to figure out what we do here. I think we trade. No, we don't trade. C5. And this is a good practical try, I think. Because they have to take. Oh, wait, maybe I'm lying. I like the try. But basically this forced them to trade. If they take here, thinking, ooh, free pawn, we can go back. Oh, it's board 5, actually. And here, rook b6, takes, and takes. This is probably losing, but Maybe it's okay. Maybe we can fight here. How do we win here? We take. After knight takes, we can exchange everything. And the big problem is there's already 2 passed pawns. And there's a bishop. So you can stop the 1 passed pawn. But the king will get in. Oh, not there. I just got the notification that Leela raided. Well, thank you again, Leela. Welcome in again, raiders. But I assume that's a mistake. Okay, Jesse takes with the rook. Yeah, Stream Elements is having a big struggle day today. Rook takes a4, or rook takes a4, knight takes a4. The camera is struggling. Just like Jesse's position. It's too hot and I melt. But did this game finish? Or we're still playing. And it ain't over until the score sheets have been signed. Or the table has been flipped. Actually, this seems like one long table, so let's not do it. Yeah, she's only 1600, but she has been playing very well, I must say. I don't think I've seen people be very you predict another raid from Meditator 77. I feel like you could be right there. That's true, but also there's not that many high rated players in the tournament. I mean, Jesse is one of the highest rated people in a region. So also tough. No worries, Fly. I will give her extra rook end games. It's fine. Is she? Okay, she is. Okay. I know the youth players are insane. I didn't know. I didn't know Charlize's rating. You see King D2? It's not the best move. It's a little bit safe. I've been away. Are you able to show the critical position where white gained advantage? Yes. So we first had, don't worry, this moment. Okay, I didn't know. So here it was good to play c5 to stop white from doing it. Instead just played a4, which was also good. King c2 to bring the rook to b1. Again, c5 was really strong here. Jesse decided on a3. And the problem with a3 is the pawn is a little too far advanced. So white can put a lot of pressure on it. Which is what happens. Rook a1. Again, c5 was strong. Queen a7 was played. Rook b1. c5. But now king g8 and rook b3. And white just goes to collect the pawn. Here it was important to keep the queens on with queen c7. Instead, queen a4. And now we can't avoid the queen trade. Jesse played c5. Opponent took. We took. We traded. And now we've seen king e2. And this is the current position. Don't understand why kids have k40 for so long. If you're under 18, I think you just have k40 unless you get above 2400. Just because kids are younger, they improve quicker. So with k40, they can improve their rating quicker or lose it more quickly. I know a young player who is an FM, but in recent times hasn't been doing well. So he dropped down real hard and is below 2200 now. So yeah, it goes both ways. play more than say 50 games, you should go to. Yeah, I think that's for adults, right? After so many games, your K drops, your K factor. And the Dutch rating system uses a different approach to the K factor. If you're a young player, after some games, the K factor doesn't just drop, but it slowly decreases, which makes it way weirder. Because you can have a K factor of 37.5, for example. Yes, Reese. Exactly, both eyes. There's also another one who got CM and is now around 2100. Like, youngsters just go up and down. Rook d8 played, best move. Okay, yeah, that makes sort of sense. Okay, we're attacking a pawn. Oh, there's another one. There is another one who plays the under 14 at the Dutch Championship. D5 is best here. Could be. I don't know exactly who is who. There's a lot of Dutch youngsters with titles these days. Yeah, but I think you mean Aravindan. And there's another CM who even has a lower rating in the under 14. I see d5. That's a good move. Making sure this pawn can never be taken is a passed pawn now. And how do we hold here? Rook d6 to block the pawn, but I'm a little bit scared of rook b8. King h7, and we could even consider rook f8. If it only worked like that both ways. What's the most difficult national master title to attain, maintain? I know it varies a lot between countries. There's a lot of countries who don't have national master titles. For example, my country. So I don't know. Also, I think if you gain a title, you can never lose it, but not sure. All I know is that I play OTB flat told me to farm the overrated duchies. If I play OTB. Yes, Terlouw. If you can find the oldies in the Netherlands, they're overrated. The youngsters, they're all over the place, in my opinion. Rook d6 played. um, so, yeah. Guess he played the move I was thinking of. Still, it's just tough. This pawn is really weak because this knight is not really that stable. For example, rook b5, bishop c2 could be an idea. Or rook b5, rook a5. Maybe it's time to create some counterplay, sacrifice a pawn. Or we need to go grab this pawn, but it's really slow. These kids growing up with Leela to study are terrifying. Yes. I mean, I played a 9-year-old at Tata Steel who was rated 2000 back then. He's 2100 now. Rook b5. Opponent again finding the best move. So yeah, you have to go bed, but I look forward to watching the comeback in the vault. Good night, Screws. Thank you for being here. Have some good sleep. I hope when you leave, everything will go Jesse's way. And we'll see you soon. Of course, Screws. Yeah, the Dutch Youth Championship is a... We don't talk about it. It's a little bit of a mess. Doesn't sacking on f5 block our path to the h6 pawn? Well, if that takes. Let's say takes. Let's just say this move happens. We can take, of course. Is this great? No, because we still lose the pawn. But yeah, it's really hard to see what should we do. Which is also an indication of maybe the position isn't good. But Jesse is still thinking. He's trying to find a way to complicate things, I assume. But without the queens, it's just hard. Like the king is not super safe, but it's hard to bring the pieces to either get a perpetual or checkmate. If we would put queens on the board, there would be chances, but we don't have them. On the way to get them back, promote, but the pawns are just so far away from promotion. Yeah. This should be not too hard to win for white, but I don't want to say that too loudly, as we've seen crazy comebacks before. Jessie is also down to her last 10 minutes, which isn't the biggest problem, of course. Maybe you can try rook b6. I mean, it's a losing endgame, but maybe we can get the rook active at least. Although, in this case, we do lose. We are on our way to losing material. So that doesn't even work. Also, bishop c2 is an option. Attacking the knight. And losing the pawn. Also, that isn't looking great. It's really hard to find anything here for black. So yeah. Not what we wanted, but this is what we got. Let me quickly read something. While I went away, and my question about whether the king was happy on f8 was timely, it moved to g8 and the game fell apart. Exactly. Rook a6 played, defending the knight, preventing rook a5. But now a strong move could be bishop c2. Basically chasing the knight away. And yeah. I can see that it's just the pieces just don't work together well. We're down a pawn. The pawn cube, which turned into a Tetris piece, is not doing us any favors as well. I think if Jessie could choose, she would love to put the pawns here, these two, and then just go take this. Or like these, I guess. Wait, I don't know, there's some way you could put the pieces to make it okay. No, it's not that easy actually, because g5. I mean, it would be an improvement for sure. But yeah, that's not how chess works. We had a pawn cube, it turned a Tetris piece. Oh, there's Meditator's Race. You're right, Waterfall. That is also why I couldn't see it, because I can see it when Stream Elements tells me there's a raid. But in this weekend, if you text me the details, but I might play the Dutch Rapid Championship. I'm considering at least to playing it. I think it's cool. Yeah, true. Saturday. And I might do commentary on one of the other days, but if you send me which day I shouldn't do commentary, then I'll figure it out. We have a move. I need to pay attention to the commentary. Sam, leave me. Bishop c2. No, but you can tell me. Bishop c2, attacking knight, of course, logical. I do like my rook end games, but if we just trade here, this is not my favorite rook end game, as there's two passers. Don't know if we want that. Well, I actually do know if we want that. We don't. I'm gonna have a little peek on the other board. Game on board 1 is still interesting. f5. Jessie going for counterplay. But probably it's good enough to take here. And now we can go from a pawn cube to the Tetris piece to the triple pawns. We've had all the weird pawn structures in one game. But yeah, this is not going anywhere. Probably even a better try is f4. Although this must be losing as well. Sorry. Both I says f4 would make a... Oh, wait. With a sideways hot top. We see takes. Wait, the rook is only 6. Here. And again, you can take here and take the pawn. Yeah. At least she got a Rosen trophy for the pawn cube earlier. That's a big upside. I would take a Rosen trophy IRL for... No, wait, I wouldn't. I like my elo. We just don't have time to create counterplay. I know, John. How nice of the Raiders to get here. And she takes on f5. Yes, he takes on h6. I don't want to say there are chances, but this doesn't feel like the cleanest way of doing things. In my opinion. I mean, everything is winning, but yeah. Jesse, you are the chosen one. You are destined to gain 48 elo, not lose. I mean, that must be hard about playing these events, especially the female-only events. In her region, she is just the highest rated player, so you can only win rating by winning all the games, basically. I mean, it's really hard to fumble. Basically, the way to fumble is to let Jesse sack the piece for a bunch of pawns, and then have some fortress. But yeah. In your opinion, was Jessie outplayed, or did she miss the best continuation? I think she just missed the best continuation. I don't feel like she was outplayed. Because she well, I think she misplayed the opening. Then I think she fell back and got a decent position, and then just didn't find c5 at any point. I mean, she must have looked at c5 because it's a logical move, but she just didn't feel like it worked or something. And sometimes you have that you look at logical moves and you think, no, it doesn't work here. But then the engine will tell you it did. That's just part of chess. You just need to figure out why she didn't like it. Bishop c2 play. And then just next time figure out how she can find the best move. It's just hard. Chess is hard. Knight b6 is apparently best. We want to keep some pieces on. But yeah, king e2 defends everything. It just seems difficult to make progress here. Knight d7 maybe after, but yeah. No, I don't feel like... I also find it hard. Like, getting outplayed means you made small mistakes. I think Jesse... Or basically your opponent forced you in mistakes. I don't feel like that was the case necessarily. I think Jesse just missed the best continuation. But it's in chess, it's always a bit of both, right? If you play perfect chess, but your opponent does the same, are we really... It's usually a draw. So yeah. One side has to make mistakes for chances to happen. Position is currently like this. You can play rook a6, which will trade some pieces, but instead Jesse played knight b6. Logical just to take the pawn. That's the whole reason the rook is here, the bishop was attacking here. So I assume her opponent will take pretty quickly. And be up 2 pawns. Their opponent is still spending time. That's also a problem. Her opponent isn't in time trouble. Still 20 minutes, which is more than enough for this position. Let me actually sit up straight. So yeah. We'll see if Jesse can figure any tricks out. Opponent is thinking for a while. I mean, if you don't do anything, we're gonna take. And then we're back in the game. You can also play king c3, but it doesn't feel like the most natural move. I think you want to keep the king flexible. Maybe it needs to help out here. So yeah, I think you just take on c5. But the opponent has time, so she can spend it. Always important not to rush when you're winning. Take your time, keep thinking. Even if your opponent is blitzing out the moves, you have the time, so use it. Rook takes c5 has been played. Yeah, and we'll see what Jessie does. She can try maybe to win this pawn and try to push the g pawn, but it doesn't seem like that will work. These pawns are really fast, and pieces really support it. She does play rook h2. Engine says king c3. More logical, I think, king e2. But maybe g4, g3? King e1 is then, I guess, a little better. Shouldn't matter that much. You can also go king c3. Sacrificing the pawn, but I feel like it's more safe to just keep the pawn on the board. And win like that. We just want to minimize the chances for black. Because I also don't see after king e2, d4. You can even push d6. As if you now push, there's a check and a fork. So that doesn't work. So you have to move the king. But then still we can play this move. Next move will push the c pawn. If you take here, we can actually sacrifice the rook, which is really cool. And then you can push. And as you can see, the knight can stop it, the rook can stop it, and the king can stop it. So that's a cool line. I don't think we'll see this. So maybe this is a try. I think rook e2, king e2, g4 is the try for counterplay. Because actually, if you don't have rook g8 check, this is already almost equal. Can defend, but I think I can bring my rook back. And pretty close to a fortress. Okay, rook h2. And her opponent is thinking here. Her opponent needs to figure out how do I win here. Because that it's winning is pretty clear. He's reaching. King e1, which is a very accurate move. Basically not allowing any g3 pin shenanigans. Well, the bishop could be hanging, but there is no way to. There's easy ways to avoid this. For example, here you can move the bishop. Bishop f5, for example, strong move. Even attacking the pawn. So yeah, very good move by our opponent again. West just played a great game. I think we can't say anything else. Rook h1 now. But I guess king here. Guess we want this. But the pawn is also just running. I know, it's just hard to find many tricks. I think rook h2 was a good try. E1 was accurate. Instead of g4? Yes. Yeah, I guess that's a try. And then here maybe? Maybe actually we can be a little bit annoying. This is a little annoying. The rook is really active. But it shouldn't be enough. It's a try, but it shouldn't be enough. He does push g4. Where are we? Here. And now bishop f5 is just very clean. Other moves make it a little more messy. I guess you can move the bishop somewhere else. That's also fine. But bishop f5 is just really the nail in the coffin, basically. Early on, Jessie got a Bronstein-Caro formation, but she didn't play it like a Caro-Kann. Well, it wasn't a Caro-Kann because the C pawn was already traded and there was an E pawn instead. So she had the structure, but her opponent had a different structure, which changes the position quite a bit. Because with an open E file, you usually don't really push f5, while with a pawn on e3, it can be good to push it to control the e4 square, as there's no open file. So that was a big difference. One other idea could be to bring the knight here, but we don't have time. Especially now, covering here as well. Another great move, bishop h5. Attacking the pawn, removing the bishop from the pin. No, that's true. It was a dark square bishop. That's also true. That's another difference. That really, yeah, that's a big change actually. I wonder what we'll see Jessie do. Rook h5, you can try, but the bishop will just defend and even cover this. Maybe knight here. Trying to make some threats against the king. Be an option. But I think if you go here, this either check or this move could be good enough. Although here you have to be a little careful. You have to go here and here. But the pawn will also just run. But yeah, that's a big problem. So yeah, Jessie looking for final tricks. It's always good to look for a final trick and try it. Can be a stalemate, some weird exchange of pawns where you maybe can get a fortress. I think you should always try the final trick. But at some point, tricks run out, or your opponent is showing that they've seen the tricks. And at some point, it's also a time to resign. You can see Jessie still trying to find something. It's just hard. What can we still try? can't even win the c pawn. If we could win the c pawn for the g pawn, we could have chances. Yeah, let's just give a check. I'm gonna try to check again. And then here, at d6 again. The pawn is also just so quick. You don't push the pawn. Yeah, it's so hard. Like even this, and you can't really take because the pin. Yeah. Anything else we can try? Is g3 not any interesting? He tries knight a4. Guess you just move your rook. Wonder if you lose the rook, is it still... Yeah, I won't say, is that losing? Yes, that's losing. But I don't think we'll see that. Rook attacked, you move the rook, you can give a check, you can move it somewhere else. Doesn't really matter where you move it, as long as you don't plunder it. And we see a check. King g7. Now you can take or start pushing the pawns. Probably the d pawn is just too fast. Yeah, white just has a lot of winning options. Maybe we can try, after takes, maybe we can put a rook here. And then try to play for this, where we sacrifice the knight for 2 pawns. But again, they should also be winning. It's just too much material. You can try this for a little bit. But it should be fine for white. This is the current position. Best is just to push, not giving us time to sacrifice. Or win back 2 pawns, we can maybe win back 1 pawn. But yeah, that's not enough. This is over, it looks like it's over. But again, ain't over till it's over. And I truly believe that's holds true in chess. I've seen weird things. Sometimes the pressure of expectations doesn't lend itself to sparkling play. True. I've had beautiful dreams about amazing tournaments where I was gonna win them all and then played horrible, horrible chess. Or less than ideal chess, or just no good results. Or good chess and no results. Also possibility. Bishop takes g4. Now we can try bring the rook to the 6th rank and trying to sacrifice. The opponent arrived late, maybe they have to leave early. Maybe. Let's hope for that. Anything can happen. They can fall asleep. Can have a fire alarm when we won't know what happened before. Knight b2. Oh wait, there could be a blackout. They can decide to cancel the tournament for unknown reasons. Anything can happen still. Yeah, knight b2. What should we do here? I guess Jesse is trying to win this pawn, maybe? But I guess pushing the pawn is always good. Moving the king to protect d3 is good. Just annoying. Every move is basically good. That doesn't plunder a full piece. Maybe you can even blunder a full piece, but why would we? Yeah, that is quite a big one. Hello, Ansel. Um, well, we don't want to incriminate ourselves, but it could help Jesse. Don't know how good it would be for you, but the Dutch queen could appear and declare the tournament as over. I doubt the Dutch queen can do that, to be honest, but but welcome in, Ansel. Opponent is reaching and just plays bishop e2, protecting against any knight d3 shenanigans. It's very impressive what our opponent has shown. King f6, bring the king. Now d6 is good, c5 is good, give a check even. The king is a little passive. Maybe there's... You have bill money ready. I doubt I could get myself to play on in such a horrible position. How can a 1639 play so well? I assume because she hasn't played a lot of tournaments. Especially outside of Africa. Or even South Africa. So it can be hard to gain rating then. Not a lot of federated tournaments maybe. Not my specialty, African tournaments. So. Now we just need a good lawyer. So we have the bill money ready. We need to look for a good lawyer. Maybe we can do this, guys. Not want to incriminate us all, but maybe we can pull this off. Don't know if they will let Jesse stream next time if we pull the fire alarm without there being fire, but that will be something for the lawyer to figure out, I guess. C5 played. Yeah, and the pawns are just going. What does a defeat mean for Jesse's feeder rating? Well, it's not good. Let's just say that. Usually defeat is not great for your rating, but especially against a way lower rated opponent, it will cost some points. Oh, I didn't know. Hansel will be your own lawyer. No, you can at most lose 20 points. Actually, you can at most lose 19.4 points in a game. Because K factor 20, so at most you can lose 20 points if you for a full -1, but you can never score a full -1. I think it's minus 0.92 times 20, which is 19.4. I think. Don't quote me on this. Rook g2. For sure, Jesse will bounce back. At some point, she just has to come to Europe, farm us, overrated Europeans, and then she'll get back the rating again. I have no doubt about it. You're very nice and farmable. As long as it's not me. I hope she doesn't come to farm my rating. Well, you can try, yes. Am I Jesse's coach? Let me think. Don't think so. I think I have only one title player as a student right now. You'll take more coffee tomorrow? That sounds like a plan, Ansel. Exactly, Otto. So that's always the solution, right? More coffee. I coach everyone. We try. Almost everyone. Actually, I don't know about Jesse's coach at the moment. I think someone said she didn't have one at the moment. But I don't know. Speaking about that. Very good, Jolo. You're getting 3. Jesse is our own coach. Oh, that's what I do. I'm my own coach as well. Sometimes I should follow my own advice more, but I don't think that it's how we teach, not how we do, right? Fact result is Jesse winning 10 games for every one. I'm also my own coach, but I'm thinking anytime. Do as I say, not as I do. Exactly. A move has been played. Okay, c6. Just trailing got your support, so no Hanzo. Yes, around that. Oh, wait, d6. I had the wrong move. Sorry. Wrong move. King e6. Easiest rook e8. Well, as most legal moves win right now. The pawns are just too strong. For example, rook e8. The king steps in front. It's actually checkmate in 1. I'm coaching all ratings. I have Hannah, who is 2400 online, but I have also people who are 800-900 online ratings. Over the board ratings all over the place. It's a nice mate, yes. I was thinking rook e7, and then just this. This also wins. So also be good. But mate in 1, right? And again, we have to give it to Jess's opponent. Again, the best move. d6, king e6, rook e8. The king goes forward, but now we just push. And I assume we'll see a resignation soon. Very unfortunate. I was trying. I can wait. I need to see if I don't leak my chess.com account. I can do that in a second about this. I'm on my paid account, which I don't want to leak. Bishop f3 is, I think, the final nail in the coffin. And Jesse stops the clock and resigns. Tough loss. Well, because Jesse is the highest rated player, it's gonna be hard to get back the rating. This move has not been played. They're putting the king on. Wait, why is the king there? That's the wrong square. White one, right? Oh, interesting. Okay, let me quickly. I'll check for the accuracy. Let's see. I hide it. Oh wait, it's the wrong one. Yes, this one. Okay. Okay, I don't think it leaks it. Okay. Oh, you guys can't see. Wait. This is perfect, guys. So 80% for Jesse, 85 for our opponent. He blames it. Tough loss, yes. In section B, okay. It's pretty good. Of course, would love to see higher accuracies. But yeah, unfortunate loss. I don't think Jesse will do an interview. What was the blunder? Queen a4. That's better to play. Keep the queens on. The position is already tough here. But queen c7 allows some counterplay. No one did. No, no one did. Anyone can say hi to Enzo. Good to know. Not that I probably will ever play chess tournament in South Africa. Good to know. Going forward, future tournaments, you will have to beat up some high rate. Of course. I'll walk through the game. I'm gonna get rid of this game review dude. I now have some beautiful things. And then I think we'll raid. I'll see who's live. That would be cool. It will cost me some raiding maybe, but it was a Trompowski. And we saw some normal. Oh, we lost Jesse, of course. Let me 1 second, guys. I need to figure out which one this was. This one? Any questions you would like me to ask? Maybe chat has some. I don't have any right now. I want to wish her a lot of luck, of course, in the rest of the rounds. Hard to come up with questions after 2 losses. I know. Yeah, bishop g4 allowed this pawn storm. So it was probably better to first develop the knight or push f5. And we got a pawn cube, where there's just so many threats here. King f8 to move out of the pin. Queen b3 gave us a chance to come back, and now we got some attack going. And b5 pawn sacrifice, which was not accepted. See you later, Jolo. We'll raid in a couple of minutes anyways, but have a good night. Knight d7, and now Jesse got back into the game. Bringing the knight in. And here it was good to play c5 to stop the pawns from moving. Instead a4, which was still good. But at some point you have to play c5. And now she got in trouble with the a pawn, which was overextended. And here she also allowed a mass exchange. And in this endgame, there was just nothing to be done. And our opponent converted well. Yeah, that was a quick rundown of the game. It was a bit of a messy game, a tough game, very complicated. Any words for encouragement? Asked for glamouring. I mean, there's always next game. Thank you for the commentary. I was happy to do it. I am hungry now, and I also have stuff to do. No, I think it was a human. I don't know if it's a blunder, because the position is already not great. But it would make sense to keep the queens on. So I guess it's both, sort of. Thank you. Yeah, good luck for Jesse. I'll start a raid on my channel. I think I want to see who's live. I might raid Rachel, who's one of my students. Lesson for today: pawn cubes are pretty, but not worth it. Exactly. 1 sec. I'll raid Rachel. And maybe someone can raid on Jesse's channel. Otherwise, I'll just end the stream. Thank you all for watching, at least. And have a great evening. I'll see people on my channel. When will I see you guys again? I actually don't know. Somewhere this week, probably still. Maybe tomorrow. For everyone on Jesse's channel, Tomorrow 2 rounds, one at 9 a.m. CEST and one at 5 p.m. CEST as today. People from my channel have fun at Rachel's in a second. People on Jesse's channel, have a great evening. And I'll see you all, hopefully,